All right, so once again, we are taking a look at writing an exponential equation when we are given 2 points. Now, in general, when you're just asked to write an exponential equation to represent a situation, we can go ahead and assume that it is in this form without any shifts in the equation itself. So let's go ahead and set up our 2 equations where I'm going to take the 2 points and plug them in for x and y. When I do that with the first point, I'm going to be starting with the y value here, so that's going to be 15 equals, now a and b are what I don't know, so it's going to be a times b to the power of x. Now x I do know because that's from the point here, so that's going to be b to the power of 1 there, which actually is easily simplified, of course, because b to the power of 1 is just b. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that as 15 equals a times b. Now I'm going to go over and I'm going to do the same thing with the second point as well. So I grab my y value and I plug that in for y, so that's going to be 3,645 equals a times b to the power of 6 in this case. Just taking that x coordinate and plugging it in for the x value there. Now this one, there's no other simplification we can do. All right, now I need to take one of these equations and solve it for a. The top one looks like it's probably going to be the easiest one, so I'm going to solve that one for a. If I do that, I divide both sides by b, and I find that a equals 15 over b. Now that I know what a equals from that first equation, I can now plug that value into the second equation for a. So, as I do so then, the 3,645 is still the same, nothing was changed there. The only thing that's changing is that a is being replaced with this 15 over b. So I'm going to write that then as 15 over b times b to the 6. Now I want to simplify that down a little bit. So if you're not sure how to simplify that, remember that this is exactly the same as writing it as 15 b to the 6 over b. This statement and this statement are the exact same thing. They are equivalent. Why? Because if I'm going to do 15 over b times b to the 6, that means I'm multiplying it by b to the 6 over 1. Because anytime you want to write something as a fraction, it's over 1. And so then, when I multiply the fractions, I multiply straight across the top, hence 15b to the 6, and straight across the bottom, hence b times 1 is just the b on the bottom. So that's why those are going to be the same thing. And now I simplify that. So let's get a little bit more room to write here. And then that's going to become 3,645 equals 15b to the power of, remember when I divide variables, I subtract their exponents. 6 minus 1 then gives me the power of 5. All right, from here, we're going to solve for the b to the 5th. So that means divide both sides by 15. And when I do that, I end up getting 243. That is equal to b to the 5th power. All right, I know b to the 5th is 243. How do I figure out what b is then? Well, in order to undo the 5th power, we are going to do the 5th root. So I'm going to do the 5th root of 243. And again, if you're not sure how to do the 5th root on your calculator, because of course it's probably not going to have a 5th root button on it, then instead of writing it as 5th root of 243, we could write that same thing also as 243 to the power of 1/5, because radicals are the same as fractional exponents. And so I'm going to type that into my calculator now, 243 to the power of 1/5. And a little side note here, when you type that in, if you're having trouble getting the right number out, you type in 243 to the power of parentheses 1 divided by 5, and then press your equal button. When you do that, you should be getting an answer of 3. A nice pretty whole number there for our answer. So we now know then that b equals 3. All right, now that I know what b is, I can now figure out what a is, because remember I got this little equation right here. A equals 15 over b. So I'm going to do a equals 15 over 3. And obviously then, that means that a is going to equal 5. Now I know what a and b are. That means I know what my equation is. So it's going to be y equals my a value, which is 5, times my b value, which is 3, to the power of x. And then that is done. A little side note here. Notice that the 3 is to the power of x. That is the only thing to the power of x. The 5 is not also to the power of x. It's not like I should have parentheses like that, where I should be doing the 5 times the 3. It's not like that. Only the b value is to the power of x here. So don't get that mixed up and try to oversimplify in a way that you're not actually able to do.